Evan had never expected to be in this position, let alone be standing face to face with an alien queen. His hands, stained with grease and scraped from years of mechanical work, now gripped a delicate piece of alien technology. The helmet of the queen, an imposing figure even in her broken state, lay in pieces on his workbench. Elizabeth, the woman who had fought beside him in this strange galaxy, watched anxiously from the corner of the ship's dimly lit workshop. She knew Evan's skills as a mechanic were unmatched, but this was different. The alien queen's helmet wasn't just any piece of technology, it was a symbol of power, a relic from her ancestors that had been passed down for generations. It was priceless, and yet here they were, attempting to repair it with tools that couldn't even begin to comprehend its advanced design. The queen had been injured in battle, a rare occurrence for one of her kind, whose scales were as tough as the hardest metals in the universe. Yet somehow, the shock wave from an enemy's plasma cannon had cracked the helmet's crystalline visor, leaving it fractured beyond belief. "Evan, I don't know about this," Elizabeth muttered, eyeing the queen's imposing figure, still wrapped in her dark, ceremonial armor as she sat on her throne. The woman was undeniably intimidating, even in her current weakened state. But Evan was determined. He'd repaired worse. With a deep breath, he clicked his tool set into place, focused his mind, and began the meticulous work of aligning the crystal fractures. Each delicate movement was a test of precision, a gamble. If he messed up, it wasn't just the queen's wrath they'd have to contend with. It could spell the end of their fragile alliance with her species. Elizabeth watched with a mixture of awe and concern as Evan's hands moved with fluidity. Her thoughts, as always, were on him. She admired the quiet confidence he carried even in moments like these, where everything could go wrong in an instant. But there was something else, something deeper, that stirred within her whenever she watched him work. She couldn't quite place it. Was it admiration, respect, or something more? The queen's eyes narrowed as Evan worked, her silent gaze heavy, almost judgmental. It was as though she were testing him, measuring his worth, as if she'd already decided that no human could possibly meet her standards. And then, as the last crystal panel snapped into place, the broken helmet seemed to hum, a soft, melodic sound that resonated through the room. Evan stood back, wiping his brow. "Done." Elizabeth's heart skipped a beat as she saw the queen's expression shift. The queen slowly reached up, fingers grazing the smooth surface of the now repaired helmet. For a moment there was only silence, and then, in a voice that echoed with power, the queen spoke. "You have done what no one thought possible. You have repaired my helmet, human." Her voice was both regal and commanding. "As a token of my gratitude, I shall give you something far more valuable than you could imagine." Evan stood tall, despite the sense of dread that crept in. "Your gratitude is enough, Your Majesty." "There's no need for—" "No," she interrupted, her eyes glowing brighter. "I shall call you my groom." Evan froze. He thought he'd misheard her. Elizabeth, standing off to the side, blinked in confusion. The queen, still sitting on her throne, extended her hand toward Evan. "You have earned my favor," she continued. "And with it comes an honor few creatures, no matter how mighty, are granted. You will stand beside me as my consort." The room grew heavy with tension. Elizabeth's heart raced in her chest, her thoughts a blur. She'd heard of alien customs before, but this was beyond anything she'd ever imagined. The queen had just chosen Evan her groom? Evan took a moment to process the words. It wasn't just that the queen was powerful, she was ancient, her lineage stretching back millennia. For a human to be called her consort? That was unheard of. That was an honor, and yet there was a pang of something in his chest. Elizabeth, he could feel her gaze on him. It was both warm and unsettling, a reminder that while this was an opportunity for him, it could destroy the fragile bond between them. Elizabeth took a step forward, her voice steady despite the tension. "Your Majesty, with all due respect, Evan, he isn't interested in becoming part of your court." Her words rang clear. Yet there was an edge to her tone that suggested more than simple protest. The queen's gaze shifted toward Elizabeth, her eyes narrowing once more. You think yourself more deserving of his favor, human female? Her voice was sharper now, commanding. As if testing Elizabeth's resolve, Elizabeth squared her shoulders, unflinching. No, your majesty. But he has his own path. He doesn't need to be bound by your crown. Evan's heart pounded in his chest. He didn't want to cause a rift between Elizabeth and the Queen, but the idea of giving up everything for a title he didn't want felt wrong. He wasn't just a mechanic. He wasn't a pawn in some intergalactic game of power. He was his own person, and he wasn't about to be turned into someone's trophy before he could speak. The Queen's smile softened. Perhaps you are not ready to serve by my side, human, she said with a trace of amusement. But do not mistake my offer for weakness. You have done something extraordinary. You will be rewarded in your own time, as will she. The Queen turned to Elizabeth, her eyes gleaming. Though I have not yet decided whether you will make a suitable counterpart for my groom, I am intrigued by your defiance. Evan could hardly believe what he was hearing. The Queen hadn't forced him into anything. She hadn't demanded his loyalty. She was considering him, and more importantly, she had acknowledged Elizabeth's presence, even complimented her strength. The tension in the room began to ease, and Evan turned toward Elizabeth, his gaze softening. Let's get out of here, Liz. I think we've overstayed our welcome. Elizabeth nodded, her eyes still wide from the encounter. But she didn't say a word. Instead, she smiled at Evan, the smallest hint of a secret shared between them. Before turning away and following him out, the Queen watched them leave, her thoughts a mystery to all but herself. She had offered Evan a place beside her, and in return he had shown something that few could boast: humility. And in that humility she found something even more powerful than the broken helmet he had repaired.